He was the best of us. Let's remember President Jimmy Carter in this episode of Law and Society. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe. President Carter passed away, and although I was not alive when he was president, President Carter's legacy extends far beyond the 4 years that he spent in the White House. There was inflation issues, problems with hostage negotiations, and other issues that caused him to not win a second term. However, President Carter was the first president in our history to put solar panels on top of the White House. Mind you, back in the late 70s, the point was not to say that this is an effective tool to completely switch over from non-renewables to renewables. But the idea was to plant that thought in the head of Americans so we may move forward in the right direction. And, his successor took it off, took the solar panels off the roof. But Jimmy Carter's legacy actually is much more defined by what he did after he left office. He served as peace envoys to so many other countries. He served as a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, and along with his life mate, Rosalynn Carter, they built or helped build over 4,390 homes. And that is, to me, service. That is showing the world how to live a good life. He didn't have a huge house. He didn't have huge talk conferences. He wrote many, many, many books, but his life wasn't about going out and talking about his books. His life was about going out every single day and serving the bigger picture, serving the people, serving those in need. And his service, his compassion, and his adherence to these core American principles of charity and service, and to be able to lift each other up, was a lesson. His whole life was that lesson. It was that lesson for us Americans to see that we can and must make an impact with our hands if need be, because working with your hands is as noble as a job can get. And I hope that as we end this era, as this great man passes on, we remember what he stood for, his compassion, his service to others. I hope that that's what we remember. And before I go, I would just like to say that, President Biden also is a one-term president for various reasons, but they both sing the same tune of service. They hold the rule of law higher than anything else. They love our democracy. And we're seeing that spirit of American democracy, American rule of law, American compassion, American charity, and American service fleeting. We're seeing this moving away as if it were something of the past. But we cannot stop and say, okay, fine, we're just going to turn into what Donald Trump has turned our country into. We have to put our foot down and say, no, we want our country to be like what Jimmy Carter wanted our country to be like. We want our country to be what Joe Biden has set for us for the next 10 years, so that we may be able to move forward and progress in more ways than one. On social issues, we need to be able to put our foot down and say, no, these are our individual rights. These are the rights that we hold dear, and you cannot just deprive us of our rights because you decide that you are above the law. So, as a goodbye to Jimmy Carter, let us pick up where he left off and let us serve our country and let us be charitable. Let us be compassionate. Let us think about the bigger picture. With that prayer, I say goodbye to Jimmy Carter. Watch over us, and I pray that you and your partner, Rosalynn Carter, watches over our country so we may not go adrift. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for showing us how to live a good life.